one of them not so good, to Wake Forest. Bryn Renner, their quarterback, pretty solid. I don't know that they have a whole lot else going for them as far as name recognition. But Virginia Tech, I really can't give you any solid reasons for wanting to pick them. I mean, Logan Thomas has been trying to carry that team. He can't do it alone, but Virginia Tech, like I said, they're a seesaw team. They were down last week, so they got to be up this week, so I'm going with them.
There you go.
These are the reasons I'm at the bottom of the Pick 10.
I'm just really enjoying the fact that we're so far apart in our picks.
Yeah, I mean, we're polar opposites this week. Somebody's going to do bad, and I can almost guarantee it's not going to be the co-host of this show. So we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, I'm going to take Virginia Tech for no discernible reasons.
Other than they're the Hokies.
Just because. Same reason I'm taking Georgia,
okay.
I guess. I don't know. All right, let's go to the Big 12. Oklahoma traveling to the beautiful city of Lubbock to take on Tommy Tuberville's fighting Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech has the #1 statistically ranked defense in the country right now. I don't think many people would have seen it coming back in the Mike Leach days.
It is surprising until you look at their opponents. They started off with Northwestern State. Then they moved up in the world, I think, and played Texas State, a famous game that I think you picked Texas State in. Then they have New Mexico, and then Iowa State, who's a legitimate contender, but really haven't played anybody.
Yeah, I'll admit the competition's been a little light.
That's right.
As an understatement, I guess, but I haven't been that impressed with Oklahoma either. I think Landry Jones, definitely not the force he once was.
No, definitely not. And Oklahoma definitely does not have the defensive prowess they're typically known for, but they're still a pretty good team. I wouldn't say great. They're not an elite team, but they're a pretty serviceable team. Not what they usually are. Definitely not deserving the 17 ranking, but I think they're better than Texas Tech. I'm going to pick them.
Yeah, Seth Doge, Texas Tech's quarterback's been pretty solid. They haven't had too much of a run game to speak of so far this year, but neither has Oklahoma. They've had all kinds of problems on offense. And knowing what I know about Tommy Tuberville from his days at Auburn, this is the kind of game that he excels in. When you have a big-name team coming in, but you still have some talent of your own. He's great in those types of situations. Not so great in games at home against teams that he should beat.
Right.
Based on those facts, I'm pulling out another wild card here. Going Texas Tech. Guns up, man.
So you are throwing the Hail Mary this week.
Yeah, I got to. This is the only way I can get back in this race.
Well, Texas Tech did beat Oklahoma State last year, and they weren't supposed to, so who knows?
Yeah, Tommy T's good for about one of those games a year.
That's right.
This might be that game and get it out of the way early. Let's jump over to Michigan, Purdue. A couple teams that are eligible to win the Big Ten.
They are.
So that's saying something right there.
Is. They might be the only two teams left at the end of the year.
Yeah. But Purdue has played okay. Pretty much their only good performance of the season was a close loss to Notre Dame. That one's looking a lot better at this point. Against some of the other teams, they've played like Purdue usually plays.
Run it out. But they played Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Michigan, and Marshall. And the Marshall game was 51-41. So.
Yeah, so, typical Purdue-type stuff. They're going with a different quarterback for the past couple of weeks, Caleb Turbush, after Robert Marve, who seems like 10 years ago was at Miami.
At least.
He's out for the season with like his 5th ACL injury, so they've had to switch to a new quarterback. I don't know that. I have some questions about the Purdue defense trying to stop Denard Robinson.
The Boilermakers are known for blowing big games, getting close and then blowing it at the end. I don't think they bucked that trend this week. I've got Michigan.
Yeah, I still think Denard Robinson's due for a big game. This is the week he gets it. Not going to pull out a Hail Mary here. I'm going with Michigan.
I'm going with Michigan. Do you think it'll be more than the 3.5?
Definitely.
Yeah. I think they kind of uncork one on Purdue.
If I was a betting man, I would pick up on that action for sure.
Yeah,
but, we don't do that here in the South. That's
of course
illegal,
not.
So. All right, let's move on to possibly the most difficult game for me to pick this week. West Virginia coming off of that 70-63 game against Baylor, traveling to Austin to play Texas. Pretty much their first Big 12 matchup.
It is.
This one's real tough, man. I don't know where to go here.
See, I'm not struggling with this one at all. I'm picking West Virginia, and I think they win in a really, really ugly blowout because I think West Virginia, it's their first game. This is what they came to the Big 12 for, was to play teams like Texas and prove they belong. They've definitely got something to prove in this game, and Texas's defense has been awful this year, with the one exception being against New Mexico when they pitched a shutout. They gave up 31 to Ole Miss. They gave up 17 to Wyoming, and they gave up 36 to Oklahoma State. Now, I know Oklahoma State runs a hurry-up offense, but they've got a freshman quarterback back there who's no Texas A&M quarterback. So I have not been impressed by the Texas defense, and I think they get scorched against West Virginia.
Yeah, my initial thoughts on this one, West Virginia has been winning some games in a way that, I would not feel very comfortable with. You look back to a game against Maryland where they just kind of barely beat them, a pretty bad Maryland team.
Right.
They weren't that impressive. But you contrast that with this past week's performance, Geno Smith putting up ridiculous numbers.
680 yards and 8 touchdowns.
Yeah, with no interceptions.
He had almost a 90% completion rating.
I mean, he would have to have a colossal meltdown for the rest of the season to not win the Heisman.
Right,
at this
I think
point.
he's the only candidate right now.
Yeah, it's not even fair. But a couple things came out this week that swung me in the other direction. I was going to go with Texas in this game. I'm with you. I'm not sure they can stop Geno Smith. The one thing I was excited about them was their ability to run the ball, but we saw Malcolm Brown is going to be out for the game this week. He's injured, so that kind of swings the pendulum in the other direction for me. I think I'm going to go West Virginia in this one as well.
Okay, so you're not an Ash believer?
David Ash has looked better, but I'm still kind of waiting for him to regress.
Okay, so if I put the over-under at 60 points in total points scored in this game, do you go over or under?
I go over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair.
I think I go way over. I think
the team has a defense.
I think West Virginia could easily score 50 by themselves.
Yeah. I don't know. I think if David Ash had Malcolm Brown to go with him, I would have gone Texas in this one. But,
okay.
David Ash alone does not equal a Geno Smith.
No.
So, West Virginia there. All right, we've got one more game left in our Pick 10. Nebraska, Ohio State. Urban Meyer already kind of starting to build something there in Columbus.
He is, and they've been doing it on really, really close games. They're pulling it out late, playing low-scoring defensive battles, but I don't think they can do it against Nebraska. I think they're due for a letdown. Nebraska's offense, when they're clicking, can really put up the numbers. They showed it last week when they were down pretty good against Wisconsin. They came storming back. I think Nebraska's got what it takes to go into Ohio State, win a close victory. I just think Ohio State's time is up. I think they're due for one.
Yeah, I don't know. I have trouble believing in Ohio State at this point. All the pundits at this, they're kind of saying Ohio State, wow, the best team in the Big Ten. Of course, that's not saying much. But I'm a little worried about Nebraska needing a comeback to beat Wisconsin, who has proven themselves to be
not very
terrible this year. You can look at it in the other direction, though. Nebraska has a pretty balanced attack at this point. Ohio State, basically all Braxton Miller. If he goes down, they're screwed.
Right.
He's basically all they got. But Ohio State's defense has been pretty solid, especially against the run. Nebraska trying to be primarily a running team, and at this point, as much as I hate to say it, I don't want to go against Urban Meyer. So I think I'm going to take the Buckeyes here.
All right, and they're probably favored, so that's a pretty safe pick.
Yeah, not too many wild cards. I got to balance myself out here.
I understand.
We'll run back through the picks here real quick. David and I both going to take Auburn over Arkansas. Both of us with Texas A&M over Ole Miss. David's going to take LSU. I'm going to take Florida in that first grade SEC matchup. David with South Carolina at home. I'm going to take Georgia in the game of the week, if you will. Both of us with Northwestern over Penn State. David taking North Carolina, and me with Virginia Tech in that ACC game. David picking Oklahoma, and I'll take Tommy Tuberville's Texas Tech in that game. Both of us with Michigan over Purdue. Both of us with West Virginia over Texas. David with Nebraska, and me with Ohio State in that final Big Ten matchup. So
I got to say I'm comfortable.
We will see who comes out victorious in this one. We don't have time for a commercial break. I know you're itching to talk some baseball, so let's go ahead. Playoffs are here. the play-in game, if you want, that's what I'm calling it, starts tomorrow. Atlanta Braves, my St. Louis Cardinals in a one-game matchup there. Still not sure how I feel about that one, but there is bigger news in baseball right now.
There is. Miguel Cabrera officially won the Triple Crown last night. He had a .330 average with 44 home runs and 139 RBI as the first guy since 1967 to win the Triple Crown. There's actually been a lot of discussion, though, that says that he might not win the AL MVP because there's a guy named Mike Trout with the Angels. And at the beginning of the baseball year, I know you joined the baseball pool. When you started, I told you I don't care what it takes, go get Mike Trout.
I got him.
He started for 2 weeks and was awful, had a .200 batting average, and then has just been amazing since then. But there actually has been some historical precedents for not winning the Triple Crown, or winning the Triple Crown, not winning the MVP. Ted Williams in 47, and in 42, and Lou Gehrig in 34, all did not win the MVP, even though they got the Triple Crown. So that would be quite a development. What do you think about your Cardinals?
I don't know. I'm not thinking they're going to get past this game. They got to go up against Chris Medlin tomorrow night for the Braves. He's pretty much been unstoppable.
He has.
The Cardinals, they've done well enough, but honestly, to me, I'm not a big fan of this whole second wild card thing. If you're not a good enough team to get into the first wild card, you're not good enough to get into the playoffs.
I do like the format baseball has taken. Baseball typically says, okay, we're going to add somebody. It'll be a 7-game series, but they've done a one and done. I really like it. It puts some suspense, some drama into
It's almost more like a college football game.
It is.
I mean, you got that. You're truly one and done. You either win or you're out.
But you've got a completely different atmosphere and a new excitement. It's a Game 7 in the first game. So I really like that, especially considering you've got the Texas Rangers in the other side of the bracket with the AL, who were supposed to win. I mean, they had a 13-game lead in the AL West and let it slip away. The A's came in and really took hold of that division. So it'll be interesting to see.
I hate to pile on the Cardinals because, they are my team and all, but I almost feel like there should be some kind of rule that says you got to be within 3 games or so of the first wild card team. Otherwise, it just really doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense,
It doesn't. And baseball's kind of got that wrong, but I really have enjoyed the baseball season this year. They've got some interesting dynamics going on. They've got a lot of storylines going into the playoffs, so we'll kind of keep you updated just really briefly probably at the end of the shows about what's going on there. But you definitely do not want to miss the new blog, outputtingourcoverage.wordpress.com, or just follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Remember, on Twitter, it's outputourcover. On Facebook, it's outputtingourcoverage. You'll get all our updates there if you go there, and you can always find us at Spreaker.com.
And we're everywhere. We are an ever-present force on the inner tubes.
We are a media giant.
Everywhere you look, you're seeing Outputting Our Coverage. Our faces are on billboards. These are the things I dream about at night.
Okay, well, that's fine. I can see a billboard.
Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. That's all the time we got for this week, though. Enjoy this perfectly excellent week of college football games ahead. We'll be back to recap all the action next week, let you know what's coming forward here on Outputting Our Coverage.